because of my fame in Cleveland, Ohio, all of a sudden I get in contact with the Cleveland Browns, the Cleveland Indians, and the Cleveland Cavaliers.
All those teams need as much help as they fucking get.
So I used to stand in front of the Browns facility in Berea with signs that said, use numerology to fix the Browns.
Nice.
I swear.
I love it.
This is what, 2 decades ago, right?
Yep.
And believe me, the Browns are garbage. So in 2007, I basically got in contact with the person who gave me Mike. I think is Michael Savage's. The GM of the Browns was Savage. Phil Savage was his name.
Okay.
And I got the secretary. And I was like, listen, I want to talk to Phil. I'm really good at numerology. And she's like, okay, here's my birthday. If you can read me, I'll get you to him. Read her like a book. I'm on to Phil. Only problem is he doesn't want to listen to me because he's an ordained minister. He don't care anything about this. But I'm relentless. I'm going to the office, and one day I get a phone call. I'll never forget this. This is 2007. I get a phone call. Pick it up. He's like, son, my name is Lou Marletti. Do you know who I am? I'm like, no. I was about to say, no, bitch ass. But, okay. So he's like, Google me. I'll call back in 10 minutes. I'm like, what the fuck? I Googled the man. Former head of the Secret Service under Bill Clinton.
Oh, shit.
Oh, wow.
He calls back.
Don't go to Arkansas.
He calls back. He calls back in 10 minutes. I take some bass out of my voice. How you doing, sir?
Hi, sir.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up?
Not that well. We got there. We got there. And all of a sudden, he's like, listen, the Browns want nothing to do with you. I'm like, listen, I know I'm good at something. He's like, sir, if you bother them, we're going to put a restraining order on you.
Wow.
And the reason I was pounding on Phil Savage's door because I wanted him to draft Adrian Peterson in 2007.
I love it.
Who was born 3/21, 1985, an 11 life path. I said this guy would be the next Jim Brown.
Yep.
Wow.
And I said draft him. Now, they did get Joe Thomas, who was a Hall of Famer. But let's face it, a Hall of Fame offensive tackle versus a Hall of Fame running back.
Yeah.
Come on, what's more important here?
And
Let's be
Peterson
real.
was fucking
Adrian
entertaining as
Peterson
hell.
would have been the man here in Cleveland if they listened to me. Instead, I go on a radio station and they're not listening to me, so I just fucking go into gear. I just roast these guys, completely roast these guys. And what happens is they put a restraining order on me after the radio station. After the radio show, I got a restraining order on me by the Cleveland Browns. I'm not
It's
I'm
because
not sure.
the whole area is really listening to you.
Yeah.
And then
I had it that much.
Wow.
Hey.
I had it that much. This is when I was young and stuff.
Yeah.
That's what I'm telling all these internet guys. It's easy to make it on the internet.
They're
now.
not hungry.
Yeah,
They're not hungry.
it's
Right.
easy to make it. Try to make it as an influencer back in the radio days. None of you fuckers would have made it.
Right.
So again, let's go from there. That the Browns pretty much didn't work out.
Right.
Now let's move on to the Cleveland Indians. The Cleveland Indians were very respectful.
Oh, okay. That's good.
Mark Shapiro and Antonetti, all the guys who were with Cleveland back then, they were very respectful. They listened to what I had to say. I just couldn't close them at that time. I wasn't good enough in 2000. Now, if it was me today, I would have closed them. In 2007, didn't have the experience to close them. That was like one of my first meetings. I had my wife tie up my suit and everything.
Yeah.
My tie. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, but they were very respectful. No ill wills. To this day, I wish the guys happy birthday all the time.
Oh, that's good to
Now,
Yeah.
the Cleveland Cavaliers. This is a different story.
This is all 2007, 2008.
2007.
Yeah.
So this is when I made my first enemy billionaire. So
Fun times.
I got the owner of the Cavs email from a mutual. Dan Gilbert was his name.
Okay.
And he owns Quicken Loans, if you guys know who he is.
Yep.
And Dan Gilbert has a saying.
Loan shark.
He says, he's like, the strength of the pack is the wolf, and the strength of the wolf is the pack. He puts that in every one of his emails. And after dealing with his subordinates, I used to deal with these other guys. I sent him an email, but let's go backtrack a little bit before I sent him the email. I got in contact with a guy named Mr. Winger, and he's like, prove numerology works. I'm like, okay, 3 guys are going to get injured. And they did a story about this in the Cleveland Plain Dealer. So this is all legit. People can check out. I said Joe Johnson would get hurt. I said Jason Kidd would get hurt. and I said Gilbert Arenas would get hurt. Joe Johnson got hurt. What's his name got hurt after that, Jason Kidd. And I'm like, listen, Winger, this is 2 out of 3 guys I gave you. What the fuck? You said if this shit works, you're going to talk to me. And he just keeps blowing me off. He's like, whatever. So I finally get to the owner, like I said, and I was like, your pack's pretty dumb. What about the wolf? And he responded to that one.
Nice.
He's like, here's what's going to happen. If Gilbert Arenas gets injured, me and you are going to talk and me and you're going to do business. But until then, you don't email anyone in the Cavs organization, because I was blowing up their emails, man.
Just cold calling.
This is like 2007. They didn't really block people back then.
Yep.
I was just blowing them up. So I'm like, agreed. I won't do anything. April 4th, 2007. People can look it up. Gilbert Arenas tears his ACL. My boy calls me on the phone. He's like, Gilbert Arenas just injured himself. He's done. And I shouldn't celebrate. And Gilbert, if you're watching, I don't celebrate people's injury, but I thought I made it back then. I'm like, I'm okay with my wife. I'm like, baby, we did it. I got a billionaire. He's gonna listen to me. I'm gonna do all this shit from behind the scenes, and we're gonna build this freaking empire. Week goes by, nothing. 2 weeks go by, nothing. After a month, I'm like, yo, dude, what? I'm like, this is bullshit. You said we need a deal. He replied back, and he gave me to the head of Cleveland security.
Wow.
Howard Cross at that time. And he said, you're banned from the Cavaliers arena.
Wow.
I'm like, so at this point, I'm like, wait a second. I was proven right. I made a deal with a billionaire, and he fucking lied to me. Like, okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Move on. Didn't work out. I keep going the Cleveland radio route, keep going on the news and stuff like that. Now it's 2010.
Okay.
Revenge time.
Yeah.
I'm getting bigger and bigger on Cleveland. So basically the guy's getting a little older at this time, like Trevisano.
Okay.
And he doesn't want to do any prep work anymore. So whenever he doesn't want to do prep work, yo, Gary, I can just, as you guys see right here, I can just run my mouth like this. So we have a show, and in 2010, I tell everyone LeBron James is leaving Cleveland. Now, the odds were he was going to stay. All the bookies said he's going to stay.
This is before the decision, right?
Exactly. I say he's gone. Guess who calls up the radio station? Dan Gilbert, the owner of the Cavs. And he's trying to be friendly. I'm basically like, fuck you. I'm not trying to be friendly anymore. Right. I'm belittling the guy. He's taking cheap shots at me. And you can listen to this again. Dan Gilbert, Cavs on YouTube. Gary the Numbers guy will come right up. And so I basically say LeBron's leaving. He says I'm a liar. He says it's never going to happen. He's going to light it up like Las Vegas. That's what he keeps saying. LeBron leaves. The guy looks like a fucking joke. And I'm pounding him. I'm pounding this guy, right? Well, not so good. I had a job back then as an internet radio host. That was my job. That's how I made money. I wasn't making too much money. Numerology. And my radio station at the time, Sports Talk Cleveland, or whatever the hell it was, they basically had credentials with the Cavs. And Gilbert calls up, so like, yo, you want to keep your credentials? Get rid of this guy. Owner has no choice but to get rid. Even though I had the #1 show, he had to get rid of me. Yeah. So at this point, I'm frustrated. I'm broke. Okay. I was right about LeBron. I got punished. I don't have the resources to compete with a billionaire. I need a new game plan. What the fuck am I gonna do? I came up with the game plan that I was gonna go to NBA summer leagues and try to look for allies. And I used to walk around with sheets about Kobe, Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce being all 11s. And I was walking around with these sheets. And I found, I remember Popovich said I was crazy. Pelinka said I was nuts. All these people said I was nuts. But there were some low-level people I found in 2011 that actually became somebodies. And they actually listened to me. And one of the things that happened, and this is an unbelievable story that they're going to make a movie out one day. One of the things that happened was I hooked up with someone who was with the Denver Nuggets. I'm not going to mention any names. And this someone was supposed to be taken to the Memphis Grizzlies. He was in an operation. It was about to happen. He was about to get traded to the Memphis Grizzlies. But I talked to my people in his camp, and I was like, listen, there's a kid named Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. They're going to be really fucking good. You need to go to Golden State.
Right.
And the deal was made where someone I'm very close to called Jerry West, who was the GM of the Warriors at the time, and basically convinced them to get this player from Denver. Again, we're not going to mention any names, but you guys can figure all this stuff out yourself, right? This player happened to be the MVP of the NBA Finals in 2015. And because he was, the Golden State Warriors became a fucking dynasty. I want you guys to understand something. If he doesn't go there, they don't become a dynasty. They don't win the NBA Finals. So what happened? What team did the Golden State Warriors beat in 2015? It was the Cleveland Cavaliers. So the owner who fucking got me fired, the billionaire who fucking picked on my little ass, I took not one, not two, but 3 titles away from you fucking bitch. Okay? And that is probably one of the greatest stories of revenge of a little guy going after a big guy, because I had no resources. I was broke. But somehow I made my numerology work. And at this point, I have NBA owners calling me for information because they know how close I am to certain players. So again, don't ever let someone tell you you can't do it. And again, the situation looked hopeless at that point. How was I going to get even with a billionaire? I have no fucking resources, but I got an NBA player to go to a certain place. He won the title over there, and he kept, and inadvertently, LeBron James got kept away from, 3 rings. So if you guys really think about this, LeBron James would be the GOAT if it wasn't for me, because he is 4 and 6 in the NBA Finals. If he was 7 and 3 in the NBA Finals, more rings than Jordan, he would be considered the GOAT. So LeBron, I did that to you.
Hit him, Pepe.
Woo!